Welcome to Nugget 69 with Steve Groman. I think we're actually going to finish the Trona Pinnacles today. Here goes the rest of this nugget. Continuing on, the Trona Pinnacles formed underwater through the interaction of blue-green algae and local chemical and geothermal conditions. Okay, so underwater, well, everything was underwater. And geothermal conditions, what are geothermal conditions?
And once again, the fountains of the great deep broke up. Very, very hot, scalding hot. Vents would have opened, material would have come up, whether it's volcanic, whether it's water. All that stuff is what the Bible describes.
Right, exactly. We've got water and we've got fire. We've got those elements again, proving what the Bible says is true.
Yeah, and again, what's interesting, most interesting about all this to me is the Bible was written thousands of years ago by people that were never over here. But what they wrote applies to over here because they said, the Bible says everything under the whole heaven was covered. All the high hills of the earth were covered. Everything was covered on this earth. And the evidence that we see today squares up with what was written thousands of years ago. That's powerful evidence.
Continuing with this one paragraph. On the lake bottom, underground hot springs welled up through the fault line fractures to introduce calcium-rich groundwater that when combined with carbonates form calcium carbonate deposits. That's an interesting point, Steve, because when the fountains of the Great Deep broke up, it wasn't just like lava and hot stuff. It was also springs and water.
Right.
A lot
Minerals.
of times people only think that the water came from the sky,
Right.
But there was hot water was gushing up. It was like
and
Yellowstone on steroids.
Exactly, and the Bible says same day all. So this is all at the same time. This stuff is busting up from everywhere, and the evidence is there.
Over several thousand years, these tufa formations developed in a reef-like fashion, providing an optimal surface area for the algae to take advantage of limited nutrients and sunlight. Tufa samples taken from the pinnacles and examined in cross-sections under magnification have revealed the stony molds of these fossilized algae cells. So these pinnacles are fossilized sea life.
Essentially, correct.
That's cool, isn't it?
It is
That's
cool.
amazing.
It is awesome. It's in the desert now.
It is a great place just to go and hike.
Oh, sure. Hiking,
drive around.
Minimal camping, and just a nice place to have a lunch.
There are a few signs actually at upper level viewing areas there when you head out to the pinnacles, and it is a rough road, guys. Don't expect to be taking Mama's Jetta out there.
Right.
They call this, the sign says underwater wonders exposed. Underwater. There we go. Ancient tattoos. You can see evidence of glacial melt from 100,000 years ago. Just find the shoreline markings on the eastern face of the Spangler Hills. Here, ancient tattoos still exist as lasting traces of the Tioga and Tahoe ice ages. The only Tahoe was the one we drove out there. To spot these former shorelines, look westward from the northern pinnacle group in the late afternoon. The setting sun backlights the lines to create shadows on the gentle slopes. And that is gorgeous and amazing, but it's the world view that you're looking through when you look at these.
Right. And that's the same thing with so much of science today. Actual good science is awesome stuff. You know, the testing of things, the time elements, that's all belief system.
And then another sign says surface and underground gems. And this sort of goes back to the elements and where we started the previous nugget over in Searles Lake and the mining operations. The whole Death Valley region and this region is just filled with mining operations, and this is going to sort of round this nugget off. Nuggets, gems, no pun intended, or maybe the pun is intended. World's richest chemical stores. The dry lake bed you're standing on holds 1/2 of the natural elements known to man. Wow. That includes Trona, a mineral as well as a place. Searles Lake bed has been commercially mined since John Searles discovered borax here in 1862. Today, borax and potash from the area can be found in everything from fiberglass to fertilizer. No wonder the lake bed brine needs constant rejuvenation. After being processed, the brine is returned to Searles Lake. We've come a long way from the late 1800s when borax was hauled from the Searles Lake bed to Los Angeles by wagons using 20 mule teams. Maybe some of you have seen that borax.
Still buy that today.
We have that, one of those old boxes.
I suppose it's no wonder that we've been to Death Valley 18 times and this whole region like this more than twice that much. It's a beautiful place. And by the way, if you have your young'uns, be sure and hold on to them when you get there, because they are going to want to scurry up to the top of some of these. And some of them, it's not a big deal, but some of them, it would be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, the ground's kind of loose.
The ground's loose, but those things are sharp and hard.
And every time we've been out there, it has been hot.
It gets hot.
We were there just in early March, and it was hot.
And even 95 or 98 or 100 degrees is extra hot out there because there is absolutely no shade unless you get around the backside of one of these things.
All right, well, We hope you have enjoyed our nuggets on Trona, and we're going to continue on in our next nuggets over to the west in Ridgecrest and back to Lone Pine and talk about
some fascinating stuff there. Lots of earthquakes and some of the effects that they leave behind.
All right, well, thank you. We wanted to give you an update on our status. We have been off the field for, 6 weeks now? We appreciate those of you who have been watching our nuggets and watching our Facebook Live on Sunday when Steve does a creation seminar lesson, and then on Tuesdays when he does a walk in faith lesson at 7 p.m. All these are Central Time. And again, we thank those of you who have been able to send us an offering. We certainly appreciate that because, as you know, evangelists who aren't evangelizing on the road, well, you know what that means. Consider becoming a monthly partner with us. That would be great. And if you would like to get one of our great new t-shirts, as America is opening up, we have these great t-shirts for you to wear that say, "Get America Great Again," with the Bible verse, Psalm 33:12. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Thank you.